Hi and welcome back to my channel. We got a ton of huge things to talk about. The first is that I hit the $4,000 mark on Robinhood this week, which is tremendous to see. As you can see, my portfolio is showing $3,500. I am down $500 all time. That being said, the market has struggled immensely, so I don't see it as being the end of the world. I'm going to try to change my videos up, make them a little bit sharper, a little bit cleaner. Let me know what you think. I'm really excited moving forward. So as we can see on the day, I'm up $42, which is good, but not great. In general, I've struggled. So as we can see, up 13% in the past week, which is amazing, about $400. For the past month, down 8.5%. For the past 3 months, down 15%. Over the last year, down 12.5%. And all time now down 12.5% as well. The good news here is that as we can see, I'm starting to recover. That all-time graph isn't as useful as it used to be, so we'll go ahead and look at the year again. But like I said, on the year, I am down 12.5%, but we can see gigantic dip there with the rest of the market. But the big news is what I was able to do last week to hit that $4,000 mark. I deposited another $100, and with that money, I bought 2 shares of KeyBank at $9.02 each for a total cost of $18.04. I bought 1 share of Penn Gaming, also known as Barstool Sports, for $8.92. I bought 1 share of O or Realty Income at $44.47, and of course, the stalwart of my portfolio, I did go ahead and buy another $30 worth of Bitcoin at a price of $67.96. That quantity being 0.0044, and my total quantity is now 0.0908, meaning that I have just over 9% of a Bitcoin, which is tremendous. But when we look at my portfolio, we'll see I've got a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to run through every single stock, but before that, as you can see, there are some graphic changes, and I want to talk about some stocks that I've mentioned in videos previously over the last couple of weeks. First, we have Tesla. Tesla's trading for just about $600 right now. As I've said, I'm not incredibly confident in their ability to make money in the long run. That being said, they have seen decent growth in the past week. We go ahead and look, we can see they're up 17%. When we zoom out to the month, they've struggled just like everyone else. Over the past 3 months, they're still up 23%, but this large spike that we saw a couple months ago is starting to die down. Over the past year, still up 120%. Over the past 5 years, still up 200%. But again, I'm not super confident in Tesla, and I don't believe in them, but let me know what you think, because I know a lot of people are really high on Tesla. The next one that I have to talk about is Zoom. Of course, I recommended this in my quarantine stocks video because they're doing particularly well. Schools are out of session. Teachers are getting to their students on Zoom and other video conferencing apps, as well as companies whose employees are now working from home. So we can see Zoom's trading for about $125. Over the past week, it's been fairly stagnant. Over the last month, up 15%, 3 months, up 70%. Over the last year, as we can see, it's been really crazy since that IPO, up 250%, and the vast majority of this has to do with what's going on within the last month or two, people staying home. I'm not sure if Zoom is still a buy. It does seem a little bit stretched out to me at this point. I know I recommended it in that video, but everything I've read says that as things start to slow down, people start going back to work, back to school, Zoom's growth is going to slow considerably. That being said, I still think it's an interesting one to look at. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've time-stamped exactly when I talk about each stock here in this video. Thanks. And we'll start with S&P 500 High Dividend Low Volatility ETF, also known as SPHD, my largest holding. The return today up $16.50, down $90 all time, average cost of $40. We'll zoom out to the last month. We can see struggle. Over the past year, they've struggled. Again, very slow growth here, leading to that large drop-off. Over the past 5 years, it's only up 1%, but a high dividend, a monthly dividend, and a stock that I will continue to purchase. Got 13 shares there. And my second largest holding is Coca-Cola. I've talked about them numerous times. Of course, Dividend King, which means that they're going to increase their dividend every single year, as they have for at least the past 50 years. Today's return up $9, total return down $32. Not horribly concerned here. I think slow growth is the key for Coca-Cola here. 76% buy rating is good to see. Over the past month, still down 6%. Over the past year, only up 5%. Over the past 5 years, up 20%. But again, that dividend is the key here. Third up, we have VTI, my total stock market ETF, trading for $140. As we can see, average cost is $153, so I am down $26 on that all time. But again, good dividend here. This one pays quarterly as opposed to monthly on the other ETF, but I do like this one. Over the past 3 months, we can see it's down 16%. If we zoom out to 5 years, we can see pretty good growth. still up 30% even with that large sell-off. Vivint Solar, I have struggled immensely with Vivint Solar, but I think there's some decent upside here. I've talked about perhaps purchasing Enphase Energy instead, but Vivint Solar has made a recovery in the past week, up 4% on the day. As we can see, I'm still down about 17% on this, but when we zoom out to the week, it's interesting, up almost 40%, which is incredible. If we zoom out to 3 months, we can see a growth pattern, large drop-off, and starting to recover from that. Over the past year, still up 10%, and over the past 5 years down. They'd struggled for a long time. They're looking to get rid of some of their debt. The problem is that their earnings are still in the red. So definitely something to consider watching, and I'll be watching that one closely. Next up, we have AT&T trading for about $31 a share right now. I am down 12% on this one all time with an average cost of $34.82, 6 shares. We'll continue to buy it. Again, great dividend. As you can see, that is a continuous stressor of me in my portfolio. I think that it's very important, especially when the economy is struggling, to have those consistent dividends. Over the past month, down 13%. For the past year, down 3.5%. Over the past 5 years, down 7.5%. And of course, we have Microsoft. This has been one of my better purchases, and I think in the long run will be a great purchase. Still have a 91% buy rating. I'm definitely considering buying more Microsoft stock in the future, so let me know what you think about that. Almost no movement on the day, still up $40 on this all time, which is wonderful to see. Over the past 3 months, we can see that they have still grown a little bit. Over the past year, immense growth, and even peaking here in February at about 60% growth in that 1 year cap. Over the past 5 years, up 310%. It's just great to see, and I think this one is great for the long run. Of course, Realty Income. I talked about this one quite a bit because, again, monthly dividend. It's a REIT. I think that right now real estate's struggling to the point where it could be a great time to buy, but there are question marks with the economy and when things will turn around. So this one is a little bit riskier, I guess, than it was a couple months ago. But trading for about $58. I am down about 10% on this one all time, but I'm not concerned at all. Over the past month, down 22%. Over the past year, down 19%. And over the past 5 years, up 11.5%. But again, we'll continue to purchase that one. Agilent, trading for $78.33 at the moment. I am up about 10% on this one. Tech stock, great earnings. Research and development, of course, is very hot right now. Developing vaccines, cures, things that people are looking forward to for sure. So if we zoom out to the last month, we can see that they actually are in the green, which is on the contrary to a lot of stocks. Over the past year, they are down 4%, but when we zoom out to the past 5 years, we can see that it's really a product of that growth slowing and then a small drop off. Only 2 shares here, but of course it's well within my price range. I'm looking now at anything between $100 to $150 a week, so well within my price range and something that I'm considering buying. Pfizer, this one's really been a tough one for me. Only down 11% on this one now, but when we start to zoom out again, we can see 6% on the month, but over the last year, big struggle, down about 16%. Over the past 5 years, very minimal growth. This does pay a dividend. I think it's a little bit risky. They are working on a vaccine right now. So again, another one I want to watch. The thing with my portfolio is that I want to keep the stocks that I own very tight and keep a smaller portfolio so that I'm able to have a better understanding of what's going on with each and every single one of these picks, as opposed to being kind of in the red area or really in the gray area with them, not knowing what's going on. Logitech's an interesting one. I haven't purchased this in almost a year. I've just been holding it. This pays only 1 dividend a year in August, 83% buy rating, and certainly with that earnings, or rather with that dividend coming up in the next few months, could be a great purchase for me. We start to zoom out to the last month, we can see that Logitech has been very consistent, and when I zoom out to the past year and 5 years, you'll see tremendous growth. So over the past year, only about 10% growth, but many things are down over the last year, up 234% over the past 5 years, so that's wonderful to see from Logitech. Walmart's trading for about $122. They have actually been positive since this whole ordeal has begun because people are shopping at Walmart. It's cheap, it's reliable, it's exactly what people are looking for when things aren't going great. So as we can see, I am up $3 on this all time, not much at all. But again, slow growth with a company like Walmart. You know what you're getting, and you're really playing this for the long game. So up about 2% in the past month. Over the past year, up 23%, which is pretty good. Over the past 5 years, up 51%, 76% buy rating on Robinhood, and another stock that I think I want to continue to bulk up on. Sony is another interesting one. I've talked about the PlayStation 5 coming out and the impact that could potentially have for Sony. I am up about 10.5% on this one all time, with my average cost being $55.89. Not a whole lot of question marks here. It's really going to come down to what happens with the PlayStation 5 and what they're able to do hardware-wise with that. So up about 2% in the last month, not much going on there. Over the past year, up about 35%. And over the past 5 years, 111% growth. Great buy rating. I think this is another great pick. VEREIT is potentially one of my riskiest picks. I like to talk about this one because of that consistent dividend that's going to stay the same regardless of what's happening with the price. That means that as the price has dropped over the past couple of months, that dividend yield is increasing and going upwards, which is why I continue to buy VEREIT. So average cost is $8.50. I am down 30% on this all time, but again, REITs are struggling. I think now could be a terrific time to buy, but let me know what you think. The big news here, on the day, up 17%, which is just crazy. On the week, up 40%. Over the past 3 months, down 40%, and that's when we can start to see the issues arise. Over the past 5 years now, down 30%. But again, before this happened, mid-February, it was up about 18% in that time period with a pretty good dividend. So worrisome, yes, but it could be a great one. Charles Schwab, of course, has struggled with everything going on. Robinhood, of course, being a direct competitor of them. I am down $13 on this all time. TD Ameritrade merger could be interesting, but I think that Charles Schwab has the pedigree and track record to succeed in the future. 67% buy rating indicates that people think it's oversold right now, up 15% in the last month. We zoom out to the last year, down 18%, and on the past 5 years, up 24%. Another one to look at, I'm not sure if I want to hold on to it, increase my position here, or sell. It's an interesting one for me, and I'm not totally sure exactly what I want to do. And getting down into my smaller holdings, we have KeyBank, $12.09 per share right now. I've got 4 shares of that at an average cost of $15.85, which means that I am down considerably, but banks have been hit hard, as well as those REITs that I've talked about. Down about 6% in the last month. Over the past year, down 26%, and over the past 5 years, down 15%. Many of these banks have struggled, especially the smaller ones. Still a 55% buy rating on Robinhood. Not sure I want to continue buying KeyBank. This may be a stock that I want to sell, but let me know what you think I should do with this position. And we'll zoom through these last 3. We've got Corning at $21.18. I've got 2 shares of that with an average cost of $29, which means large losses. Of course, supply chains being thrown off means that there's no need for glass for these smartphone manufacturers at the moment. Down 30% over the past 3 months, and when we zoom out to the last 5 years, that is a little bit troublesome. We can see the large growth pattern slowing down and then this drop off. It does have a 58% hold rating, which means even the experts aren't exactly sure what's going to happen here, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. Only 2 stocks left to show here. We got Four Corner Property Trust, my last REIT, trading for $21.37 a share. I've got 2 shares of that. Average cost of $29 means I'm down 27% on that all time. Was up 11% on the day. As we can see, those REITs did very well today. Over the past month, down 25%. Over the past year, down 26%. And over the past 5 years, still 88% growth here because they had some great growth there in the beginning. This is a dividend that has increased. If I'm not mistaken, right now that yield has to be around 6 to 7%, which is why I'm so high on these REITs despite their struggles recently. And the last stock, of course, we can't forget Penn National Gaming or Barstool Sports. I've got 2 shares of that. This one I will continue to buy, I believe, wholeheartedly in Barstool Sports. Even though I'm down 40% on this, that has to do with the fact that there's no sports going on right now. There's nothing for people to gamble on. Over the past 3 months, we can see down almost 50%. Over the past 5 years, down 8%. But this large spike happened with their acquisition of Barstool, and Stoolies basically bought this stock up like hotcakes. So at that point, it was up 142% for the 5-year stretch. 71% buy rating here on Robinhood. And again, because there's no sports to gamble on, they're going to struggle in the next quarter, potentially the next year, or even 2 years. But I like to think long-term, and long-term, I really like this one. And last but certainly not least, we've got Bitcoin trading for just under $7,000 right now, down 5% on the day. I am down $192 on this one all time. No, it's not a stock, but it is my largest holding. Portfolio diversity of about 18%. Equity right now is about $633. Average cost is slowly shrinking down, but still over $9,000. I've said it, and I'll continue to say it. I will be buying Bitcoin continually over the coming months and into the next year. On the month, we can see down 12%. 3 months, down 11%. Over the past year, up 35%. And over the past 5 years, up 2,600%. Definitely something to keep a hold of. But now we'll go ahead and look at my portfolio as a whole again. As I said, I am down about $500 right now, but I'm optimistic for the future. But let me know what you think if you like the video. If you want to see something different, just let me know what you want to see. And of course, I'll do my best to make it. And I'll be back with another video next week. Thanks.